All right, this is going to be a quick introduction into the different ways that we will use literary theory and to get you thinking about it into different perspectives. So first off, speaking of perspectives, do you see the old woman or the young lady? If you see the old woman, then you notice that this is her nose, there's her eyes, this is her mouth, that's her chin, and this is her lovely Game of Thrones fur cape. If you see the young woman, you see she's looking away from us. This is her nose, the curve of her cheek, her chin, her ear, her necklace down her neck, but she still gets to keep her lovely Game of Thrones fur coat. What about this one? Do you see the Native American face or the Eskimo Inuit facing away? What you see is based on what your past experiences have been. That is similar to literary theory. The way we analyze literature is based on the past experiences we have with that literature and the knowledge we possess. So this is a piece of artwork. It's entitled All is Vanity. The artist set it up as a dual image. So we have the image of the woman looking into her vanity mirror with all of her accoutrement of bottles to keep her young and beautiful. However, the artist also created it with the double message of the superimposed skull, implying that everything we do in life still leads to death. So therefore, all our efforts are just vanity. What do you see in this one? This is titled Gossip, and Satan Came Also. Here we have the superimposed image of a devil face, his slanty eyes, his big nose, his mouth, his pointy beard, even down to his little horns, set into the image of two women chatting or gossiping. The implied message here being that gossip is the devil's work. One last image to bring home the idea that perception is really what we make of it. Here we have literally the same image. On top we see a calf or a doe's head, but when that image is flipped upside down, it becomes a seal. The elephant becomes a swan, and the giraffe becomes a penguin. Literally, flipping an image on its head changes its entire meaning. That is what literary theory is about. So we're going to practice now a little with the nursery rhyme Little Miss Muffet. So this is the standard. Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider who sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. So if we look at this from the militarist viewpoint, it's all about second strike capability, or more to the point, Miss Muffet's lack of a second strike capability. If Miss Muffet had developed a second strike capability instead of squandering her resources on curds and whey, no spider on earth would have dared launch a first strike capable of carrying him right to the heart of her tuffet. I'm confident that Miss Muffet had adequate notice from experts that she could not afford both curds and whey and at the same time support an early spider warning system. Yet curds alone were not enough for Miss Muffet. She had to have whey too. Tuffet's security must be the primary responsibility of every diner. Obviously, this is satire, but this gives us one perspective into the nursery rhyme that is different from our traditional view. All right, let's look at this from another perspective, that of the educational expert. Little Miss Muffet, tuffets, curds, whey, and spiders are what's wrong with education today. They're all irrelevant. Tuffets are irrelevant. Curds are irrelevant. Whey is irrelevant. Meaningful experience. How can you have relevance without meaningful experience? And how can there ever be a meaningful experience without understanding? With understanding and meaningfulness and relevance, there can be love and good and deep seriousness, and education today will be freed of slavery and Miss Muffet, and life will become meaningful, and yada, yada, yada. You get the picture. So, from this perspective, Miss Muffet is not about a child and a spider. It's not about protecting Homeland Security. It's about a girl who spends her resources on totally irrelevant things, and teachers who use that experience to create an equally irrelevant learning experience for their students. There's always the child's perspective. This is about a little girl who gets scared by a spider. So let's practice now. With Baa Baa Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. One for the master, and one for the dame, and one for the little boy who lives down the lane. So if we look at this from 2 viewpoints, we can look at this as a condemnation of slavery. This is not just any sheep. This is a black sheep. Have you any wool? Yes, sir, yes, sir. This sheep is clearly subservient to whomever is asking it for its wool. Not only do they take the 3 bags full, they take it for the master, as in the slave owner, for the dame, his wife, and for the little boy who lives down the lane, implying that the slavery will continue on into the future down the lane. Now, clearly, this is a bit of a stretch. However, theorists do think that Baa Baa Black Sheep was originally written as a condemnation of the English tax system, where the master stood for the taxes that were due to the king, the dame stood for the tithes that were due to the Church of England. Historically, churches have been referred to in feminine natures due to the Virgin Mary and other feminine ideals of religion. And one for the little boy who lives down the lane, they believe referred to the local sheriffs and local squires who would extort bribes from the local peasants, the black sheep, the outcasts of the rhyme. Now, you are going to practice on your own. You can pick 2 different rhymes and write 2 different analyses of each rhyme. We will discuss these in class tomorrow. Thanks for listening.